Welcome back for another episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go. Find us on facebook.com/superfunpodcast, twitter.com/superfunpodcast, patreon.com/superfunpodcast, Instagram at superfunpodcastgo, iTunes at Superfun Game Review Podcast Go. Thanks and enjoy the show.
Welcome back for another episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go! Season 4! Sick. All right, so tonight, across from me is Mr. Clarke. Across from me today is Mr. Clarke.
I am the curator of stories, stories of love and hate, greed and beauty, life and death, stories such as this one.
And I will be your host this evening. There are repercussions. There are always repercussions. Tonight, we are talking about Man of Medan, the first entry from the Dark Anthology.
The Dark Pictures Anthology.
Dark Pictures Anthology, the first of 8. Well, initial impressions.
Honestly, because of how much I love Until Dawn and how games like Detroit and stuff just move that genre forward, I'm here for it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, who's making from the creators of Until Dawn? Boom, done. Here for it. And then when I booted it up, it was just like, logging right back in and playing Until Dawn. So there's some differences. I will say that. But for a half price, more niche title, here for it.
Yeah, cool. No, I saw the trailer for this game while playing Beyond Two Souls with Eddie and Deary.
Oh, okay.
That was when I first discovered this game. It was only a month or two before it actually released. Saw the trailer. The trailer looked amazing.
Is it the one that I posted in Discord?
I'm not sure. I've seen a couple at this point.
Okay.
But it showed like the compass and the decision choosing. And
yeah.
And it really hinted at just that same feel that Until brought to the table with like these really stereotypical characters just thrown into a horror movie and just you making the decision. I'd love that this type of game, this whole genre. I wish we had more developers out there because I think there's only mainly 2 at this point since
Telltale went under.
Yeah, so that's a shame that they did go under. I think that was their whole. They did it to themselves though.
Yeah, and Telltale started pumping out crap. Let's be honest. Like these guys haven't been hit or miss. They've just been hit.
Yeah.
Both companies have been. Well, Beyond Two Souls was not a critically acclaimed great game, but like these 2 companies have just been pumping out hits.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Whereas Telltale, certain seasons of The Walking Dead were good and some were like awful from what I heard. They didn't even finish their last one. Game of Thrones was good. Wolf was good, but like the Borderlands one wasn't well received. And, the Guardians of the Galaxy one, which fully came out, I think, like no one fucking talked about that shit. Like,
no, I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, so like they didn't always... They started becoming formulaic about it. And also, I think they were the weakest of the 3 companies.
Yeah, I would say that.
Their story variants didn't change as much.
No, true. That is true. It was just subtle differences. This actually branches off into completely different areas and stuff like that. So, yeah, let's just get into game development. I don't have much else to say on initial impressions, but
I mean that we were naturally transitioning there anyway. Yeah.
Let's do the game development.
Game development.
Game development.
Supermassive Games, creators of Until Dawn. A lot of the same members that were on Until Dawn carried over to this. The Until Dawn title was a PlayStation exclusive. I think it was a Sony and Supermassive collaboration.
Yep.
Yeah. This one is Supermassive is now working with Bandai Namco across all platforms, not strictly PlayStation. But this is the first entry in a 8-part
non-canonical.
Yes, non-canonical
series. anthology, if you will.
Yeah. None of the games are going to have any relation to any of the other titles. They're all standalone.
I think they will have one thing in common. The curator.
The curator, yes.
Yes.
I don't think he is as well loved as
Peter Stormare.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's not, but also
it's a different character though.
It's a different character, and also give him some time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually liked him more the second time I played through the game.
Okay. But yeah, no, they're planning on releasing these, or might even use the term pumping them out like every 6 months is their game plan. 8 titles, 6 months. That's quite a turnaround on games. But
it's really ambitious.
It is. But my theory is that they had all of like the groundwork laid years before they decided to pump these out. I think it's just they have a couple already completed, and they're just waiting for these deadlines and then continuing on maybe like the second half of the series working on these. That's my guess if they were going to decide to put out 8, because I think there would be a backlash from the community if they fell off on that.
Yeah, I mean, most of these games that have been episodic have not hit those dates. So personally, from my standpoint, I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay.
Telltale was notorious for like, hey, we're gonna do these monthly. Hey, we're gonna do these quarterly now. Oh fuck. Yeah, it's been like 8 months since we released the last episode, so here's the next one. So we'll see. Telltale was a different beast though,
okay.
and terribly mismanaged, obviously, and now they're closed. I think what's interesting here is I think they have the core engine and they have all the stories written and the pieces. I wouldn't say that they have a bunch of these like ready to go, just upload it and it's done. I think they have the engine and the story pieces all set out, and they're sitting there and just polishing over and over again. Like, oh, let's fine tune this. Let's fine tune this. I don't want to think that they're like sitting on their laurels, because like there are some issues with this game.
Yeah, no, there are.
There definitely is, and they might be tweaking. Maybe the next one's done. Maybe they had the first 2 ready to go, so it gives them like a 6 months to really. Well, it'll be a year until they have to pump out the next one, because they had the trailer ready day one. If you beat Man of Medan, boom, there's the trailer.
Yeah,
for the next one. So maybe they have a lot more of that one like pieced together, ready to go, but we'll see. I hope they continue to improve.
Yeah. Now, my guess, just based off the first 2 games, I think they're going to have at least 1 or 2 cameos of mainstream actors in each game too. So,
yes.
I foresee that being a constant, because I already know the first 2 games have, not saying A-list actors, but
they're B-list. They were B-list in Until Dawn too.
Yeah.
Hayden Panettiere.
Yeah.
And the Josh, whoever played Josh. I forget his name, but he was just in Bohemian Rhapsody, and he was in he's Mr. Robot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's all I have on development though. If there's anything else you wanted to add, or
no, it's interesting, and I really hope they can continue to innovate with this engine, because something that I at least found that was refreshing about this in terms of development is that they're the same game, the same concept. However, the execution, I think, is different, and that's important. That's going to be important for them going forward.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, let's get in the meat of this episode.
Yeah.
The story.
Story.
All right, so just a quick synopsis of what the general storyline is. Obviously, there's a lot of tweaks that can happen to the general story, but the overarching theme here is that there's these 5, we'll say somewhat rich friends, a well-to-do group of friends.
Yeah, well-to-do for sure.
4 well-to-do friends hire an outside captain of a ship.
Mm-hmm.
They're interested in diving for, I don't know, treasure or just for fun.
I think it's like more of like a sightseeing thrill seeker type of thing.
Yeah. I could see that. Meanwhile, they run into a group of 3 pirates, modern day pirates.
Yeah, not arg, matey.
Yeah,
more like, I am the captain now, which is an exact quote from the fucking
It
game.
is. Absolutely. Good old Tom Hanks. But then they, get captured, taken to an abandoned tanker in the middle of the ocean. Shit happens that's kind of fucky on the boat. It turns out
just a little fucky.
there's like a released gas that causes hallucinations on the ship, and whether or not they make it out is dependent on your playthrough. And that's the meat of the story there.
Yeah. It's a completely abandoned. It's a ghost ship. The actual term for ghost ship, where it's completely abandoned.
Yeah,
it's a ghost ship.
Yeah.
Not like ooh ghosts, but ghost ship.
But typical fashion, similar to Until Dawn, each chapter of this game is played by a different character, or if you're playing multiplayer, 2 characters.
Yes, and that is the new key thing that I'd like to focus on mostly for this story.
No, absolutely.
How interesting and new of a development that is for this genre. And that's that innovation that I was referring to earlier, like innovating on that was so fucking cool. Harry and I played an entire playthrough of this game together as different people, and we were both trying to like fuck with each other, and we were able to.
Yeah, absolutely. We had both previously beaten the game, so we saw how this we saw potential outcomes of the story.
2 completely different outcomes. Completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually beat it a 3rd time as well, because I wanted to go for like a true good ending, because my first one was a little rough around the edges.
Same.
This end actually is harder, in my opinion, to keep everybody alive than Until Dawn.
Yeah, well, it's because in Until Dawn, the first time someone can truly die in Until Dawn is like chapter 5 or 6 out of 12.
Something like that, yeah.
In this, you can have someone die like really fucking quick. Like chapter 3. As soon as they hit the ghost ship, people can start dying.
Yeah. I think that's a little further than chapter 3. There's a lot of, like, I think there's, I don't want to call them chapters, but there's like, I want to say like close to 30 segments.
Oh, yeah. I guess they're little play sets.
Yeah. I wonder, because I haven't seen all the death scenes yet. I don't know how early specifically. I feel like you could kill somebody when the pirates first board your little boat.
Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I might YouTube like a death montage.
Yeah.
And see if I can pinpoint when it is.
Also similar to Until Dawn, you pick up clues to try to piece together what is going on. There's multiple things, like there's multiple stories to piece together, like what's going on currently as like a storyline, what has happened in the past is a separate storyline, and you kind of piece all these clues together. And when you pick up certain clues, they sometimes add more details to a previous clue that you had picked up. So it's almost like clues stacking on clues.
And the game actually starts in the past.
It does.
With 2 soldiers. So you kind of see the initial why everyone's going fucking nuts. And it's literally like you see like a bunch of caskets being brought on board of this ship. And then the game kind of pushes you towards this it's zombies or it's ghouls vibe, like right from the beginning, because you start to see this like dead people that look like they've had their entire like soul and anything of essence sucked out of them, and they're like ghoulish. And that's kind of where it like leaves off, because essentially both characters die. It
wasn't until I played 2-player that I realized how they died. They killed each other.
Yes.
But
yes.
But at first, when you play single player, you don't see the other perspective.
Correct.
So you only see it from one, and it looks like somebody that you were trying to kill just avoided your blow and just kind of took you out.
Right.
But no, it's I didn't even realize this till the second playthrough, but right in the beginning you see this lightning strike the ghost ship, or the soon-to-be ghost ship, and it strikes the one container, and you see this yellow gas come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out it's a substance that is
Manchurian gold.
Manchurian gold, yes. It's chemically activated once electricity hits it. And that's what basically set off the whole chain of events for this entire game, is this lightning strike hit the gas and activated its...
The government was trying to move bioweapons out of... I guess they're outside of France?
I don't remember where it came from.
It's outside of the U.S. Like they're kind of in international waters, and they're trying to, I guess, move a biological weapon, and this is around World War II, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
So you kind of see some of the real early biological weapons.
What should we focus on? Because it's hard to funnel a discussion with such varying playthroughs.
Let's talk about our playthrough together, and then we can talk about some variances.
Sure. So we were going for a very chaotic run.
Yeah, we were trying to get everyone killed as quickly as possible. And actually, the crazy thing is we fucking failed at it.
Yeah.
We did not manage to kill everybody. It is possible to kill everybody.
I think it's hard to go either way. I think it's hard to keep everybody alive, and I think it's hard to kill everybody.
And I think it's kind of the way it should be.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So that you could see the end of the game.
Yeah,
even if you're having default playthrough.
Yep, even if you're having a real bad time. You almost have to try to get some of the people killed. Like, I think Julie is one of the hardest people to get killed.
I can see that.
But they give you an option right at the beginning of the game to get her killed later on. The Bens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's
Okay, so a big aspect of this game that I think affected our playthrough the most is that all the characters have relationships to one another.
Yes.
2 of them are brothers, Alex and Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Alex is dating Julia.
Yes.
And Julia's brother, Conrad, comes along. And then they hire the captain, Felicity, as their captain. Now, some of the relationships and interactions that affect the plot going forward, Alex could potentially propose to Julia. On our playthrough, we decided to withhold that proposal.
Yeah, try to really mess it. It was actually really weird because at one point Harry was playing Julia and I was playing Brad, and it was very awkward.
And there's also this big brother little brother dynamic going on between Alex and Brad.
Yes,
and whether or not, I guess they treat each other like family or more as
rivals almost
rivals. Yeah, and that can affect paths that they can go down, how they interact, support from one another, decision making in the game, and how you choose some of these conversations really affects the gameplay. I guess a good example would be I think Alex has the biggest impact on Brad in the sense of either boosting his capabilities or kind of hindering him. Like, if he is constantly putting down Brad, it almost directs Brad to not take certain
chances.
Yeah,
and really he kind of bullies him a little bit.
Yeah,
because he's kind of like more of a jock,
a little bit.
And
Brad's kind of the
nerdy. Yeah, he's the nerdy stereotype. Alex is the jockey stereotype. Julia,
she's kind of like the rich pretty girl.
Yeah, but she has some final girl in her too. In terms of like horror stereotypes, she's got some final girl in her. She's tough.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say Fliss is kind of like the tough girl, or mysterious in a way as well.
Yeah, Fliss is the mysterious girl. You don't know what's fucking going on with her.
Because apparently, if you pick up certain clues, you find out she doesn't actually have like a legitimate license to be a captain.
Right.
And she's in some serious debt for the boat as well.
Right.
That's why she's doing these somewhat illegal favors for this group.
Yeah, little jobs.
Yeah. And that's something you could unearth from some of the other characters and either confront her or, I guess, not even bring it up in conversation later in the game. All right, so let's fast forward a little bit. So the pirates, they have a run-in. They take over your boat, tie everybody up, and then take you to this tanker.
A storm hits
and
actually leads them to the tanker.
Yeah.
It kind of actually forces them to the tanker because the tanker is giant and not being moved by the waves as much. And the little, the Medan, which is the name of the boat.
Yep.
Kind of gets like drugged towards the ghost ship. Because it's the path of least resistance. To be drawn towards the ship.
So while they're on there, basically first objective is get away from the pirates. They get locked in a room and then they find an escape hatch on the side by knocking out a grate or something like that.
Yeah, so they get some separation.
Yeah, and that's where the big separation happens because wandering down the hallways. Potentially 2 could get caught again, or somebody can get dragged from behind. Like I had, when everybody was going into the grate, I don't think I blocked the doorway, and they got in and grabbed Fliss before she could make it into the grate.
Oh,
so she got separated right there. But on our playthrough, we had all 5 get through, and then 2 went after. There was some boat part. The pirates took a boat part, so they couldn't. I know it was some kind of cap to the motor or
engine cap.
Because we're very technical. I forget exactly what it is, but they can't start the boat without this piece. So, Fliss and Brad go down to grab it on our playthrough, and they get caught by the pirates. So the other 3 wander off, and then Conrad starts hallucinating, so he wanders off. And very quickly, just like on Until Dawn, you get all these little groups of people, and they each have their own kind of mini adventure within the adventure, more or less. And a bulk of the game is just wandering around their individual stories, picking up clues. Distributor cap. There we go. And everything basically comes together at the end when everybody is pretty much hallucinating pretty hardcore. And you're basically confronting the pirates. Whether or not you get the cap back and whether or not you call for help on the radio determines how that playthrough ultimately ends up.
And there's wild variance in between. Like in my solo playthrough, Conrad actually escapes before they get to the ghost ship. Escapes on
I still haven't seen that.
Yeah, the pirate ship, and just gets the fuck out, and then later comes back to die.
So on 2 different playthroughs. So you know that one part where Julia is hallucinating and she sees 2 Alexes in the water?
Yes.
The one is actually the one pirate. And then you can either choose to drown him there or just run away, more or less. And that actually either kills the one pirate or has one, I guess, still pursuing you later in the game. And then there's another run-in. This is a big scene, and it's very likely for somebody to die here, but the one pirate, Junior, is hallucinating pretty hard. And he kind of realizes it because he says something along, did you inhale the gas?
The mist. He keeps calling it the mist.
And in 2 different playthroughs, I had 2 different characters there as well. I've had an Alex and Julia combo, and I had a Brad and Julia. Or no, a Brad and Alex combo there.
Really?
Yeah. I had, I think I had Julia die early the one time, so Brad went down with Alex instead of Alex and Julia going down.
I had Fliss and Alex there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Did anyone die with Brad and Alex when they were there?
I don't remember.
Other than Junior.
I know some, because I've done it a couple times at this point and played through certain chapters. I've had like 50-50, somebody died, or it's usually not Alex, though. It's always the other person. Because I think you're talking as Alex or Brad. So maybe it was Julia. I don't know. I don't remember. But
Fliss died for me there.
Okay.
She got shot.
So my first playthrough, do you remember that room where Fliss goes into the ballroom?
Yes.
There is a back door where you can step outside and get fresh air. And then she comes back in it, and it's a completely different room.
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
Once
That's cool.
Because once you get fresh air, it like clears out the hallucinogens.
Yeah, it's very temporary based on... That's why there's no hallucinations when they're outside.
Yes, this is true.
And when they're in the ship, that's when the hallucinations happen. I really like the overlapping hallucinatory moments.
And it's right in front of you the entire time. Like they don't even try to hide it. But it doesn't really click with you the first time until you get near the end of the story when they're starting to piece these clues together. It's so crazy because they show the lightning striking the box first time you play through the game. And
and you see the smoke coming out of it. And it's just it's a great deception in the story for them to immediately address it as, oh, well, zombies and ghouls have risen. It's like, no, actually, it's hallucinogenic gas.
Yeah.
Or hallucinatory gas that is affecting everybody.
I wonder if, just to step away from this game real quick, I wonder if that's going to be a common theme among the anthology games. If it's something else than what is initially perceived.
Well, see, I hope not.
Okay.
I hope they go full
like slasher horror kind of in some ways.
Well, like, Until Dawn wasn't that way. Until Dawn was fucking Wendigos.
It was later, but initially you're thinking that there's this killer on the loose.
There's three main storylines there.
Yeah.
The clown, the survival horror, and then the Wendigo.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that, like, you didn't know it was all set up originally by Josh in the first one. It was like this big turning point reveal, and I think that was a similar concept in this. Although there was Wendigos, which is supernatural.
Yeah,
completely.
100% supernatural.
But I don't think there was anything 100% supernatural in this game. It was all
hallucinations.
It was all based off of something scientifically possible.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry for that little tangent there. Yeah, I don't there's not really any, I want to say, strong endings to this, because as soon as you get out of the ship, they just either get on their boat and sail away or wait for the helicopter to come pick them up.
I've never seen a helicopter ending.
That basically they go to jail, though. It's like the military comes and then they find the dead bodies, and then you end up in jail, and it kind of cuts to a similar scene at the end of Until Dawn where they're doing the interviews of the survivors, which you don't see if you leave on the boat.
Right.
You get like these different scenes, like, oh, I didn't know I was doing this, and they're trying to explain their way out, but they're like not buying the whole gas thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But sorry, just to cut back to that ballroom scene again. The first time I didn't go outside to clear her head, it looked like a ghoul, or not a ghoul, a cloaked figure was coming at her, and then she got lead piped in the head. It was actually Brad,
right,
that did it to her. And a lot of the deaths are actually from other party members in this game.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, it's like foreshadowing when you play co-op and you see that the two kill each other during the hallucination. And actually, a lot of it actually the whole story starts and is caused by friendly fire.
Yeah.
The ship that you dive and check out in the beginning was shot down by the boat. It's friendly fire. It's, everyone's dying on the ship. It's all caused by other soldiers and things like that. And it's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And I think the game, I think the story has something to say about that. I don't know that I fully grasp it enough to really draw it out of it, but I think there's some meaning there.
That we hurt the ones closest to us? Or, I don't know, some moral presentation there?
Yeah, maybe it's more along the lines of maybe the gas is symbolic of something.
I don't have any much more to say on the story.
Yeah, we could move along to the
gameplay.
The gameplay. Yeah, gameplay.
Gameplay.
All right, so the gameplay. I think the best thing that came with this game is the multiplayer aspect. I think this is the first time that one of these choose-your-own-adventure games has been multiplayer.
Yes. I think that's the biggest part that makes it stand out. Everything else is pretty much the same. There's not many differences. So I don't think the gameplay itself is even worth really touching on.
No, there's a couple things, though. Like when we pass the book back and forth.
There's little cool things, like you can essentially queue up to look at a clue or an item in the world, so like your character will just hand it off. But again, that's only multiplayer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a multiplayer aspect. So
yeah,
that might be the biggest focus here. Just because we've covered the basics in other titles that we reviewed with the first player choose your own adventure, but
it's quick time.
Yeah. Although what is nice, you have the option to kind of turn that off, in a sense. If you are just in it for the gameplay and fucking hate QuickTime events, they will still pop up, but it doesn't time out. As long as you just don't hit the wrong button. Which even turning it off because I wanted Leanne to play, and it makes it a little bit more user-friendly to somebody who doesn't play video games.
Yeah.
But she was still hitting the wrong buttons. It would pop up triangle. She panics. It was in a pure panic, more or less, because it was like just certain scenes. And she'd hit like X. And I'll be like, no, you just killed Fliss or something.
Yeah.
That's actually how Fliss got killed, because she hit the wrong button to dodge the lead pipe to the head. Just cracked skull laying on the floor, just bleeding out. So you do have that option to turn that off. Same thing with there was something else you can. Is there something you have to hold? Oh, mashing. Instead of mashing the button,
you can press and hold.
Press and hold. I turned it to that for her sake as well.
Yeah. I probably should have done those things for Kaylee, but
it was just nice for somebody that doesn't play video games like that. But still, it feels like you're contributing now without having that barrier of access, more or less. So that was a nice little feature. The multiplayer. So the biggest thing here, play the game both ways. Play it through solo because you get to see all the scenes. But if you play multiplayer, the scenes that are happening simultaneously are happening simultaneously. So story-based, like this, according to the story, the scenes that are happening simultaneously, you're playing out with the second player simultaneously. One person controls one character as the other player controls another character. So it essentially cuts down the overall runtime of the entire game.
Yeah, because you're experiencing two different scenes.
Exactly.
Which I think is really fucking fascinating.
It is cool.
I think that's cool because, like, Harry and I were kind of like, hey, what are you doing right now? Hey, what are you doing right now? Like, because we were, like, occupying different space. Like, during the dive.
Yeah.
Like, one person was diving and one person stayed on the boat. And that's huge. That is completely different.
It is. Because when I played my single-player playthrough, you don't really see what played out up above.
Right.
I just did the dive, and then when I came up, you see an explosion, and the guys are driving off in their boat. This time, I got to interact with the other pirates, have that conversation with Fliss, because I was playing Conrad and Fliss up on the boat, and you were playing Alex and Julia down in the water.
Right.
So I got to see like a flip side of what is actually going on while I was doing something else. And it was kind of cool, because I could affect what was happening down below for you and vice versa, essentially, or character development for later in the game that you had no control over. So somebody might have an attitude towards you and you don't know why, and it's because something the second player did with another character to affect that later in the gameplay.
Which we were doing because we were going for a chaos run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was such a cool aspect of the game, and I wish I would have played through that way first.
Yes.
And then experience first player the second run through.
Yeah.
But no, just a lot of potential there for a good time. And I think these games, they're really pushing this more collaborative group of people getting together to play these games. It's a good party game if nobody's experienced it before.
That's a good transition. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
When you played single player with Leanne, did you play single player or did you do movie night?
I think we played single player.
Kaylee and I did movie night.
Okay.
And that was interesting because it's a mix of multiplayer and single player.
Because doesn't it say hand off the controller depending on the character?
Yes. So you pick characters without any context. So we went in blind, and I was just like, all right, I'll take the guys, you take the girls, because it gives you 6 characters to play.
Yeah.
One of them is... Which was funny because as it ended up, Kaylee played most of the game our first playthrough. Because one of them was Mike, who was the soldier in the beginning, so he's there around for 2 chapters.
Yeah.
One of them is Conrad, who in our playthrough went away on the boat, so I was only playing as Brad, because it's only the 2 girls, so she grabbed Alex as well.
Oh, okay.
Because we split them up, and I was like, well, I'm not going to have 5 players, so you take one of the guys. And she ended up taking Brad.
Okay.
So she was in control of the whole relationship, still didn't propose. I have not seen a proposal yet in this game. So that was interesting. And I think, because I did see some of the boat stuff where Conrad's like, nah, fuck off, to and they're throwing the money at the pirates and stuff, I did see some of that in our original playthrough, because I think it pieces out some of those experiences to your character, which I thought was interesting.
I think we should get the whole podcast together for the next one that comes out and do movie night on the next game.
And we'll just blindly pick characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I call eyebrows.
Okay.
I'm just calling it now. But no, so we didn't touch on that. There's 3 different
play modes on this.
You got your online multiplayer, your movie night, and your single player, and all they affect what scenes you're going to see happen.
They're all 3 different experiences, which I think is really again, that's that innovation. Because do you remember like when we were talking about Until Dawn and we were like reading about online where people were like, "Oh yeah, you just you in your group, you just pick characters and you hand it off." They actually just were like, "Hey, that's such a cool idea. We're just going to make that a mode in the game."
Yeah.
And make it easier for everybody. And it'll just say, "Oh, you're up," before the scene happens. And it's really cool because you can pass the controller, you press X, no one misses anything. Great innovation.
Yeah. And that's getting more out of the game for the same price. Essentially.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Because then you can be like, oh, like, let's have a fucking Man of Medan party. Here's this. This is all easy to fucking set up. Here we go. Chips, beer, fucking let's go. I think we're ready to move on.
Yeah. I agree. Cool. Let's talk graphics.
Graphics.
So this is where I am going to start nitpicking this game.
Okay, that's fine.
I liked the story. I liked the gameplay. The graphics, I don't think were up to Until Dawn standards. I think there was a little more haze, a little more glitch, a little more polishing needed for this.
Okay.
And I'm hoping they take those steps in the next couple of games to really hammer out some of the weird graphic glitches. I thought the facial animation was not nearly as good as it was in Until Dawn. And I think some of the visual effects were there, and they were very, sometimes it's weird. Sometimes the graphics were on par. Like when you're inspecting something, or like little things or big set pieces. But like when it came to like the facial animations and stuff, I thought all of that could use polish. That intro was cool.
Oh, with him walking down the hall and everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you know that song is now the 3rd time they have used that song in their games?
No, I didn't know that.
That was O Death again. They did a standard version of O Death at the beginning of Until Dawn. Then they did a rock version of O Death at the end of Until Dawn. And then they did that like country rock version of O Death at the beginning of Dark Pictures.
Okay. So what you're saying is they need a new theme song.
I'm just saying they keep using iterations of it.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is actually, if you look at it, that is a classically covered song. There are varying tons of different, like, you can find like punk versions of it and fucking metal versions of it and fucking like bluegrass fucking versions of it, which I think is interesting. I have the 2 originals like on my playlist on Amazon because I love the song. And I think it's really interesting to see that, like, okay, are you going to just keep using different iterations of this song for... I actually don't mind the variance in it. I mean, that's more of like a sound and music thing, but it's just a weird thing. It's a presentation thing that I noticed.
Okay.
But I like those. I like that scene of him walking through and you see all the pictures and stuff. And there are glimpses of the next game in that hallway. And I've rewatched that opening scene now a few times to see, like, okay, if that's a glimpse into the next one, where else could this go? There is what looks like a Cthulhu creature, and I would love for them to tackle a Lovecraftian type madness driven game.
Okay.
That's what I want out of one of these episodes, is I want to do Lovecraft, please. Do Lovecraft.
Okay, so visually, I thought it took a slight dip down from Until Dawn. But lower budget, so I kind of expected that. The length of the game was a little low, little shorter, but I think that there was more variance. I can give them a pass on that. But like with the facial features, I didn't notice much of a dip. I think it was slight, and I think because they focused on less characters, they didn't have to spend as much time in total polishing up these characters. So I think that's where they cut the budget, just less characters in a way. So they didn't drop the standard. Because if they put 8 main characters, I think it would look a lot worse for how quickly they want to pump these games out. So I think you're going to see slightly smaller cast of main characters.
It's not the cast, though. It's the actual facial animations. When they're saying something, it looks like sometimes pieces of their face are stuck.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Supermassive has a thing with big teeth, though. I do notice that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the characters in Until Dawn, their teeth were like...
exaggerated.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Coke?
What?
Coke?
I don't have any Coke.
Oh, no. I mean, you owe me a Coke? Is that how that works?
I don't know you owe any
Jinx?
Coke.
What?
Yay.
I think my biggest gripe visually, though, is the lack of changing of setting. And it's due to the story. I can't gripe that. But like when you play Until Dawn, depending on where you're at, you know how far you are through the game. There was so many wandering through the corridors of the basement levels of the ship that it started to become a little redundant. But again, that's due to the story. The whole thing happens on a tanker, so it's kind of hard to get away from that.
Right. There are some drawn out segments, though. Like, let's be real. There are some drawn out, like, hey, we're going to have you go from point A to point B in this thing, and it's not. There could have been. I would have liked that to have been broken up by more of a narrative than just like, we're going to actually have you travel point A to point B. And it was very telling to see oh, okay, here comes a jump scare. Because you can almost telegraph some of these.
Yeah. But I mean, just like going back to Until Dawn, it's an easy comparison. There are times where you're in the cabin. There are times when you're walking through the woods. There are times when you're in the insane asylum. It changes the setting.
The cabin in the woods.
Yeah, the cabin in the wood. Like the
tower.
The mines.
Yeah, so like there's a lot more variance of location.
Yes, there's not that. You're on your little ship and you're on the big ship. Or you're underwater.
Right.
That's it. That's really it.
And that's another thing, like I hope they don't do like...
I don't think it'll be like that going forward. I think it was strictly because of the story, but I still have to hold them accountable for... It gets a little boring watching the same old tanker.
Backgrounds.
Yeah. Because some of the chapters use the same areas, too. I'm like, I've been down this corridor before. It's just, I'm playing as a different character now, traversing the same environment. Right. So that probably helped out with their budget, not having to do as many environments. They're just reusing.
Yes, and I hope this did well enough that they can open up their budget a little bit.
A little bit.
I just want a little more production value, because let me tell you, the next part, the next segment that we're going to. Do you have anything more?
No, I'm cool. That was my big sticking point there.
Okay, the next segment. Let's move on into sound.
Yeah.
Music.
You already did your Odeth rant. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that anymore.
I have nothing more to say about the Odeth thing except for they keep using it. The voice acting in this is fucking bad. I don't know. And here's the thing. I don't know if it's the writing, but like Fliss goes between being French or being Jamaican or being Dominican or she's all over the fucking place. I have no fucking idea what her ethnicity is supposed to be. But she goes through all of them.
Okay.
All of them.
All right.
That's real bad. Alex sounds stupid the entire time. He's supposed to be some fucking pre-med, right? He's like a pre-med doctor type.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. And he just sounds stupid. And he sounds confused the entire time. He never sounds like a badass. And when he tries to sound like a badass, he just sounds like a confused badass. I think they need better quality voice actors just in general. Like, I really honestly think that the inflections are off at times.
Okay.
Like, even when trying to stand down somebody, he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like fucking flexing and fucking pumping his chest, and it's like, what? You don't sound like a badass. You sound like a idiot. You just sound stupid. That is my biggest problem with this. And that's the biggest thing. Like, I'll take some buggy facial animation. I'll take some samey corridor stuff. But like, the voice acting was incredible in Until Dawn. I had no problems with any of the fucking characters. Like, think of how diverse all the characters were, and you could tell, like, oh, that's Jessica. That's fucking hot. Like we had whole fucking segments about how fucking hilarious and well acted that game was. This is not that. This is not up to that standard. They need to get back to some semblance of that standard, or the rest of the games are going to start falling flat. Because I think the voice acting is very flat in this. And I actually don't know if it's just the writing, because some of the dialogue is really not great either.
They could have added more humor. I think would have helped.
They could have added more humor, but like, even the humor there isn't, like, none of it's funny. Like, Conrad's just kind of like a misogynistic dick.
A little bit.
And like, and that's not really actually funny. You know what I mean? Like, it's not done in a humorous way. It has no care for the like any sort of like comedic value that it would add. So like, that's like my biggest problem is like, I think other sounds, like the ambient sounds, the environmental sounds and stuff like that, I didn't really have a problem with. I thought they were, spooky, good, I love the song "Oh Death." I don't know if they're going to continue using that, but if they do, they better vary it up. So like, I'm just kind of, that gives me pause about going forward. I'll probably end up buying fucking all of these. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that I won't. It's just, it gives me kind of like a, I don't know what it was, and I'm hoping it's the voice acting and not the script writers. That was my biggest problem. Like the funniest thing for me in the entire game is when the fucking captain says, "I am the captain now," because it's a fucking meme.
It is a meme.
And I couldn't. I was laughing, and my girlfriend was laughing, but we were laughing for the wrong reason. Of like, what, are you fucking serious? Like, you fucking put that in there? Like, it's funny, but it's so on the nose that it's like, a little more creative writing there could have been good, or a little more lean into meme type things like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, lean more into the stereotypes. I feel like all the characters were the fucking same. They didn't hit the archetypes that they were trying to go for. Fliss, at no given moment was she a fearless captain, super mysterious. She's only mysterious because you find things out about her.
Yeah.
Like,
it wasn't through dialogue, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm worried at with this game, and I'm throwing it all into the music because I honestly think it's the voice acting.
Okay. I'll agree with some of your points there, because I think the biggest contributor to some of that voice acting. So let's say one of the characters was like really pissed at another. They never raised their voice to that level or inflection to really match that emotion. So I will give you that.
Yeah, that's why I was saying.
I don't want to go as far as saying it's terrible. Yes, it is a little flat. They probably could use a little bit more talent in that area, but I wouldn't trash it. It's not somebody running around screaming for what's his name? Jason. It's
Jason.
It's none of that.
Jason.
All right. The more I think about it, you're right on a lot of those points. It is a little flat, and they probably could have used more emotion in some of their voice acting. Maybe they weren't really matching the emotion to the scene in a lot of times. That's without saying the same thing over and over again. It lacked a little bit of emotion in the voice acting. But I wouldn't go as far as saying it's trash. It's somewhere.
I didn't say it's trash.
Yeah. No, that's
like,
it's somewhere in between.
Trash is different. I think it's bad. I do think it's bad, but like, trash is like not worth it.
Yeah.
The game is still worth it. I'm not remotely even saying it's not. It's totally a game that everyone, I think, should fucking play if you like this genre. But like, don't come for the voice acting. The voice acting's not where it was with Until Dawn.
Yeah, that's true. Very well. Let's jump on to final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
You want to start? You want me to start?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start because like you kind of just heard,
Yeah.
most of what my final thoughts are. I think this is a good game. I think it's a great jumping off point. And if they can elevate some of the things, like if they can elevate the voice acting talent and, like vary up the environment and stuff like that, these games are just going to be killer over and over and over again. And I'm fucking here for it. I love that they're going to just, instead of making little DLC storylines for this, cool, get me into the fucking woods, get me on top of a fucking mountain again, get me, like I'm here for it. I think it's going to be very interesting going forward, and I think this game is great. It has its flaws, and again, it's just me being nitpicky. I had a great time playing the game. I made my own fun playing the game, which if I can do that in a game, it means it's a good game to me, you know?
Yeah.
So, even when we were playing, I was making fun of Fliss's character actor, or her voice actor, because, she sounds like fucking Lifeline from Apex at sometimes, and then she sounds like she is French-Canadian at other times. She literally says a boot. And then, like, she could be, like, Lifeline and be like, how about your birthday present? Like, it's just, like, sorry, I'm going to end my rant there. It's a good game. Hopefully they can elevate it going forward.
Like I said, I thought it was a decent start to this anthology that they want to kick off. Again, I'm looking forward to what else they have to bring. And I'm glad that all the stories aren't going to be linked, because if I didn't like one, it's not going to taint any of the other ones in the series. And then we'll get a fresh cast and just a whole new outlook, everyone in the series. So,
yeah, I hate a bad taint.
Yeah, bad taint. What is nice is that welcoming $30 price point, brand new, to get into the series. Again, take that with a grain of salt. It's not going to be that AAA title like standard that Until Dawn was basically at, but it gives you more games to play. And I think that was the issue, because the time between this type of game was just so long. I would only get to play one of these every couple of years, essentially. Now it looks like I could play one or maybe like two every given year with this ambitious game plan that they have put forward. But yeah, I like the variants. I think by far this is the most diversive storyline that you could take out of all the games that exist currently. It's not as... It's pushing the boundaries a little bit more each game. I expect to see this branch off even further as we get into this series. So that's probably my favorite aspect, that they're inventing new ways of breaking off the storyline and really expanding these games. So with that, I think comes some of that redundancy with the environment, reusing certain things to cut certain areas so they don't have to put 100% into every aspect of the game. But no, just this type of game in general, I just absolutely love it, and I look forward for more. Oh, cool. Let's score it, Clarke.
All right.
The score.
All right, Clarke, what's your score?
So, as a $30 game, I think it's a buy. And if you can find it on sale, it's a definite buy. If you're iffy about it, I would still say get it on sale. On Black Friday, they just had it for $15. I think it's on sale right now on PlayStation Network. So
I have a feeling it's going to end up being $15 in general.
Yeah.
Like what happened Until Dawn, it was full price for a little while, and then it just dropped to $20 because they just wanted everybody to have it.
Yep. And now you can get it for $10 sometimes. They gave it away for free once.
Yeah.
So
I have a feeling this series is going to be the same way. It's going to come out initially at a certain price, and it's going to drop real quick.
Yeah. And that's okay. That's okay. If you don't want to get it day one, I wanted to get it day one. I thought it was really cool. If you pre-ordered it or preloaded it, they gave you a free theme for PS4. I really like the theme because it's just a boat, and it's like nighttime, and it's dark, and it has the compass in the upper right-hand corner. I really like it.
Nice.
Buy or get it on sale.
Cool. I'm going to give it an 8.0, which ties with Zombies Ate My Neighbors and the first Mass Effect.
What did you give Until Dawn?
A 9.
That was a 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I am dropping it a full point lower, but I still hold this game in high regards. I didn't mind talking about it. I know we talked about it quite a few times before.
I mean, we played through the game together too, so
Yeah,
we like that, and that's why I think it would be interesting to live stream one of these chapters, because it would be because I think we talked about some stuff that we won't get that organic conversation again on the podcast, and I think it would be I think people might find that interesting.
Cool,
some organic
yeah,
conversation.
No, absolutely.
So
I wouldn't mind doing that at all. I think that'd be fun.
It would be fun.
Cool. Well, I think it's gonna wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Well, cool. Well, stay tuned, guys. We'll have a MUBRS for you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Stay lovely. Instead of stay sexy or I love you, stay lovely.
Stay lovely.
Game over. Game over. Game over. Game over. Game over.
Thanks for listening to Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go. Stay up to date on our Facebook at facebook.com/superfunpodcast.